Testing. There's a lot of buttons here, and there's a lot of cameras. What camera? Oh, this camera right here. Okay, I got you. 5 years on social media. 5 years bringing the news to the people. 5 years of doing the hard work. And my dream has become a reality. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my home studio, something I've always wanted to do. And it's because of you why we sit here today. Today is the first episode of Over the Target with BertaProudDad, where I bring on Adam Derges of Army of Great Men, where we talk about federal politics, provincial politics, and Alberta separation. Adam has been doing content on social media for some time now, and I've been following him for some time. It's a great pleasure of mine to bring him into my studio as the first guest of Over the Target with BertaProudDad. Let's get into it. Social media has literally changed the world in how people view content, whether it be news, sports, or even the political climate in the country or your province or your community. And we like to bring content creators on the show and hear their story, how they got involved, and what they're really passionate about. Today on the show, we have Adam Derges from Army of Great Men. It's a pleasure to have you, Adam.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And thanks, you know what? Earlier today, I was on Tucker's show, and, one of the things I talked about, it was sort of what you talked about on your reel the other day about this little community that we've got of influencers. And how we work together and how, we collaborate. We're there to support one another. We're there to help. And, like you've really taken a leadership role in that. Just having the ability to talk to people that are going through what,
yeah,
it helps. You don't feel so alone. It's a real gift for sure.
For sure. And I know I've shared my story, how I've gotten into this, and now I'm on this side of the mic and I'm interviewing people. I really want to hear how you got and you fell into the social media life and what got you going and what drives you every single day.
Yeah, it's I talk a lot about politics now. That was never my intention. That was not what this was supposed to be. It's just sort of what has to be right now because it's, there's a lot of political things that really matter. But really what started it is I got sort of hit by life, and not in a way that most people don't experience, right? I had a surprise divorce. My mom was dying. I was just going through some stuff, right? And, I came to a whole lot of realizations through that process. One of the realizations I had was that I was very lucky to have people around me who could, nobody can pick you up, but they can sort of steer you in the right direction, right? They can show you the path out of the ditch. And I was very, very lucky to have some really, really good people in my life, both men and women, who were there to sort of guide me. And then through that process, I realized that there are a lot of people that don't have that. And so this was all supposed to just be a pay it forward. Me taking the things that were given to me to say, hey, let me help steer you a little bit too. Not that I have all the answers, by all means, I'm not even close to that. And I'm definitely a work in progress myself, right? Like I have not figured it all out, but really blessed to have people in my life who could show me some, little tricks to sort of get out of it. So that's what it all started with, and took me down a road that, I never would have.
Well, when you started, like when you first, Instagram is the platform I found you on, and you started showing up in my reels. And I'm not much of a content consumer.
Sure.
I don't watch a lot of content. I spend a lot of time creating it, as you do.
Yep.
And you were not political at all. No. There was nothing happening. What kind of content were you doing back then, and versus, and what drove you into where you are right now?
Yeah. So, again, it just started like my podcast was all about just helping men get great. And it wasn't even supposed to be like Instagram or anything. It was just supposed to be, on this podcast to help men get stronger physically, emotionally, spiritually, which is the one, so many of us just disregard, financially, get strong in every way. And then a couple things sort of started coming out where, if you're going to be a great man, you need to protect the people around you. Like, I love the way Jordan Peterson talks about it. He's like, I don't want you to be dangerous. I want you to have the ability to be, right? So you don't want to be walking around punching people in the face all day.
No.
But you want to at least have enough of a threat to protect the people you love and protect, they say that one of the number one targets that if people target children, one of the things they target is a weak dad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the number one thing they target. So they've done everything they can from a societal perspective to weaken men, to neuter the men. And if you do that with a combination of disconnecting people from God, you can take over society like that.
Yeah.
Almost instantly.
I agree.
And then when I started to, I've been political, don't get me wrong, like politics is not something that's foreign to me. But when I started to really do some deep work and some deep diving about like where all this stems from, like getting rid of masculinity in society, disconnecting people from God, you do those things, you can take over any society in the world. Mm-hmm. And then when you start to see some of the agendas that are coming from the left, mostly, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
And so, like one of the realizations I had, not all liberals are atheists, but all atheists are liberals.
Yeah, that's actually, I've never heard that before. And that is, creating content every day. I see that.
Yeah.
I see God-fearing Christians out there like myself and how I put the full armor of God on every single day to do my content. And people always ask me, how do you deal with these comments? How do you deal with the hate? How do you deal with the threats? How do you deal with just the anger that people throw at you for telling the truth, telling them what's happening out there? And I say, they don't believe in Christ. They don't believe in a higher power. Yep. I understand these people are hurting, and right there, I have some compassion. When somebody calls me and says, fuck you, or they call me an idiot, or the R word, or fascist is a new one. I know it's not new, but I've been called fascist a lot lately. Yep. I know that I have compassion for them because they're hurting. It's not me they hate. Yep. They hate themselves. Yep. That's what I feel.
And, like I'm not one of those people who shoves Christianity down everybody's throat. No, I'm a Christian. I think you do more harm than good by doing that. But I let people know that that's who I am. Mm-hmm. And frankly, like my favorite Christians are the ones who walk the walk, not the ones who shove it down your throat. Generally, the ones that shove it down your throat are the ones who are doing it because they're making up for the fact that they're not a very good Christian in other ways. Yeah, you're
right.
Like one of my favorite lines is Christianity would be great if it wasn't for all the Christians.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's actually a really good point, and we need more men in this space, just like we need more strong women.
Exactly.
In this political content space, because when I started up the show, I said many people have shifted from the mainstream news, right? And when collectively we are putting up better numbers than CBC, CTV, 100%. Global, all of us as a collective. And that's why I really did that video the other day, was to let people, make them aware of, these are the people that you should be watching. These people care about their municipalities, their provinces, and their country. Yeah. And, come on over to this side, because this is where you're going to get the real truth. Nobody's paying us. That's right. Yeah, we might have some sponsors, but nobody pays us to do what we're doing.
Well, it's one of my favorite parts. Whenever somebody leaves the left, it's one of the funniest things because they're like, wait, this is who you guys are?
Yeah.
You're awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Like they've been told that we're this group of hateful, bigoted, racist, like we treat women like crap. Like, no, it's like exactly the opposite.
It is. The other day you did a reel, and I'm going to thank you for that. And as many people know, my daughter, she was attacked online, and they doxed her, and that's escalating, but that's going with the police. So we're not going to talk too much about that. But you did a reel, and you said, about me, and you were sharing it out. We were trying to get information about this guy who did it. And you said in there, like good cop, bad cop, right? We all have our place to play kind of thing. And I get that a lot from people who, I have a lot of people who used to be haters of mine, trolls of mine, haters of mine that are now fans of mine because they got to meet me in person. Sure. They got to shake my hand. They got to see in my eyes that I actually care about the things I'm talking about. And yes, my content comes off a certain way, but people need to understand, like, I'm a human being, and this is how I get my audience engaged. Right? It's no different than the Jerry Springer show. How did they do it on the Jerry Springer show? The thing is we all have our place to play, our part to play in this. And when I watch you on an everyday basis, and because it is every day, I see the passion. I see exactly what, people who don't necessarily agree with me and then eventually do. I see that in you, right? And you're really, really passionate about what's happening right now, and you put that out on a daily basis. So I just want to thank you for being part of this space.
Well, and thank you too, man. Like, I can't remember what it was, but I put something out not that long ago where, I was just talking about getting kind of betrayed by people you love or something. Mm-hmm. I can't remember what it was. Mm-hmm. And I hit send like on Instagram, and 30 seconds later, my phone rings and it's you going, hey, I got you, bud. Like, we're on the same team. Screw those guys. I got you. And like, it just means the world, right? Like, brotherhood is an important thing.
Yeah.
You know, and as an influencer, it's so weird to say that, but we are on an island. And so now that we've got this little kind of rat pack, this group that, you know, you, me, and Kevin Tucker, and now I think Sable is like Adventures with Sable. She's a rising star. I've never met Jasmine Lane yet, but she's awesome. Like, there's a group of us who are all singing from the same songbook, all with a different style, all kind of going at it a different way. And it's funny, we all have like differing sort of angles to the agenda, but it's all pointing in the same direction, if that makes sense, you know?
That's right.
And it's cool. It's an honor to be a part of. And frankly, like, you know, you talked about the role that we play and the reach that we have compared to the news. It's actually kind of, it's crazy when you think about the influence that we have and the responsibility that comes with that. You know, like, we are at a time of, we're at a historic time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, we've got a referendum coming up. There's, you know, look what's happening with Venezuela right now. Look what's happening. You know, there's all these things that are happening all over the world. We are a part of history right now.
We are.
And we get the neatest seat in the house to it.
We do.
Right?
We do.
Nobody tells us what to do, right? Like, if you work for CTV News and you've got a big breaking story, your producer might say, yeah, no, we're not doing that.
There'd be talking points and a teleprompter right there.
Right
Here, we're sitting here. We can talk about our emotions. We can talk about our feelings. We can talk about our opinions, and we can put it on that. CBC News, CTV, they're paid a salary, a damn good one, to spin a narrative. And, you know, this is a fun place to be.
Yeah.
And our content is better than theirs because we make it that way. And we have control over that. And
we own it.
We do own it. And, you know, I've made mistakes. I've done a reel that's gotten over 1 million views that I was wrong on. And the sad part about social media content creation is when you're wrong, that's when you're going to get views because everybody's going to say you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And, you know, nobody likes it, but you got to get out of bed and you got to turn that phone on and you got to come out and correct yourself. And you have to say, I was wrong. And you know what? Your supporters, they see that and they love that.
Well, it's really funny you mentioned that. So I had someone pitch me the other day on like, oh, you need to really spruce up your editing on your views. And I probably need, don't get me wrong, like, I need to get better at that. But this guy was making it seem like the stuff that he was showing me was so manufactured that I looked at it and I sent it to my sister and some other people. And I said, what do you think of this? And they said, you think that's what people want from you? They want authentic.
Yeah.
Right? They don't want a bunch of bells and whistles and this and that. They just want to hear you be a person, be a normal man, vulnerable, make mistakes, own them. Right?
Yeah.
You know, it's, you talk about owning mistakes. I mean, how many politicians would have more trust if they were humble enough to admit when they screw up? Right?
Everybody's so scared of looking bad. And that's what's become, you know, the political sphere now is, you know, how do I look today? You know, did I say all the right things? How's the lighting? How's this? How's that? But what about the message?
Yeah.
And that's what I love about us independents is, guess what? It's all about the message.
All about the message.
I put a blazer on with a shirt underneath because I'm really trying to be professional, right? And I really want to look good.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, people know and they see me when I go to events, I wear a blazer. And that's going to be the new me because I changed my image. I've said this before. I've sat down with the premier of this province wearing a flat brim hat.
Yeah.
And she said, do you always wear a hat? And I said, yes, premier, I do. It's who I am. And she's like, I love that.
Yeah.
Right. She wasn't giving me shit for wearing a hat. She said, I love that.
Yeah.
All so much. So I got introduced in the legislature and the UCP politicians, they can send up little notes to you. And it said, oh, look at that. You took your hat off. You took your hat off because you have to in there out of respect. And I did. Right. So it is good. And I know you've been recognized by the premier and you've been recognized by politicians, and that does feel good, right? To actually know that your message is resonating not only with people, but maybe politicians might smarten up a little bit too because of our content.
Yeah, it's surreal. The whole thing is surreal. Like if someone would have told me 2 years ago this would be like, I'd be like, what are you talking? There's no chance.
Yeah.
But here we are. Yeah. And you know what, like it's neat when you reach people, like to get recognized by somebody who, you know, you think in a similar fashion to. Like I think that Daniel Smith and I probably look at the world in a lot more similar ways than not. My favorite ones are when somebody reaches out to challenge me on something. We have a dialogue and both of our opinions get changed a little bit. Like I just had last night, I had my all-time, without question, my all-time favorite interaction with a follower.
Okay.
18-year-old kid. I was at the grocery store yesterday. I go to pay. It's $77.77.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah. So I was like, that's kind of neat. So I took a photo of it. And then I went on the old Google machine and I typed in what does 7777 mean? And it came up with all these things about, this is a spiritual sign. And and whether you believe in that stuff or not, I don't really care, but it's just kind of neat. Right. And so this kid reaches out to me and he said, hey, I'm not saying you're not intelligent. I think you are intelligent, but when you say things like that, it sounds like hocus pocus. People are going to think you're dumb. And so I sort of barked back at him a little bit, probably harder than I should have. And then he's like, no, I didn't mean any offense. And he gave his rationale and he talked about it. And he said, look, I'm just a young man. I'm trying to make sense of the world. I'm trying to figure it out. I was just giving you this feedback, but sorry if I offended. And then I said, I'm not going to say his name because he's, I should, because I love this kid already. And I said, look, you can go through life ignoring signs like these, and you can go thinking that there's nothing bigger than you on the other side. And you do that, I promise you, you're never going to experience anything extraordinary because you're limiting your access to it.
Yeah.
You want the impossible. You want the extraordinary. You're going to have to believe in something bigger than you. This kid reaches out. He's like, oh my God, thanks for telling me this. Nobody's ever told me anything like this. You totally changed my, and then we had this back and forth dialogue. I said, I want you to read this book. He's like, okay, great. We're going to go for coffee or lunch or something next time he's in town. So he's an 18-year-old kid working on the oil rigs up in Fort Mac, just trying to become a man, and was open and humble enough to what started with criticism to come back and go, hey, maybe there is something to this. Yeah. And actually what did it is I said, I'll tell you what. I said, if you think of any of the people that you look up to the most, any of them, like publicly, privately, whatever, the people who you think are the strongest, the people that you want to emulate the most, I guarantee you they have a connection to a higher power. I guarantee it. And then he thought of it. He's like, yeah, I think they actually do. And so those are my favorite ones. Like, it's nice to get recognized by someone you respect as much as Danielle Smith. Don't get me wrong. That was my favorite. Yeah,
I get those too all the time as well when somebody does challenge you. And there's been many times where somebody's challenged me and I've learned more about the topic, right? And I haven't always been right, or I covered half of it and I should have covered a little bit more. And that's what I really like about it. That's something that the CBC, the mainstream, they're really not doing, right? And I want to launch us into the independence movement in the province. That's what I want to talk about, because it's kind of been, in the mainstream news, they're trying to make it look like, we're a bunch of fascists that just want to take over and want to leave Canada. But in the reality of things, Alberta's been shafted forever, and we got to do something about it. And I wasn't always a separatist. I fought.
When you and I first talked, you were not there yet.
Yeah, I was not there. And you and I had some conversations about that. And I was not a separatist. I believed that, we could still fix it and we could still do something within Canada. And I really hung on to that. I'm one of the late ones, especially on the content creator side, to come into the separatist movement. But it wasn't until, I saw, Conservatives crossing the floor, Mark Carney winning an election basically after Pierre Poilievre had his polling that he was polling and the elbows up fiasco, that I say Alberta's done. And it really is done. Yeah. Right?
Canada's done.
Yeah. Canada is done, not Alberta. Yeah. And Alberta, as we know it, needs to move into a different direction. We need to have prosperity. And this is the last conservative stronghold in the country, is right here in Alberta. I truly believe that. I went
Saskatchewan too.
Well, Saskatchewan, yes, absolutely, 100%. And Saskatchewan people, my followers, are going to hate me, but I still think Alberta is the most conservative out of all of them. I absolutely do, 100%. But this is what I would like to see, because I know Saskatchewan has their own little thing going on too. I know they do. I would like to see us together. I really would. We would be a powerhouse together.
Oh, absolutely.
But we have 3 separatist movements happening in this country right now. Yep. Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Quebec. Yep. Quebec can do what Quebec's going to do. I'm not really worried. They're far away from us. But we really need to focus on what's happening between Alberta and Saskatchewan.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people say we're not going to get those signatures. And that's their famous line, right? Is to try to take some hope away from the movement. But what I've seen from people who actually believe in this, who never believed in it before, like myself, is as soon as you have convinced somebody that Canada is finished and Alberta can prosper, you're not taking that away.
Nope.
Like the federal election where Pierre was in the lead and elbows up is all they needed with Mike Myers to destroy that. You're not destroying the separatist movement as soon as somebody believes.
It's one of those things that once you see it, you can never unsee it.
No.
And, I use the analogy of this. So it's not about right or wrong. It's about a misalignment of values, right? I'm not going to say that we're right and somebody else is wrong. Like the same way, like maybe you value apple juice and I value orange juice. That doesn't mean one is right and one is wrong. It's just mean I'd rather have this and you'd rather have that. That's okay. People have different priorities. They have different needs. Not everybody's going to agree. Not everybody's in the same boat. I get it. So it's not about right or wrong. But would you be in business with someone who had completely different goals and views that you do on every topic? Of course you wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you be in a marriage with someone who had completely different goals for life and everything? Of course not.
That was my ex.
There you go. Would you, if you were coaching, a hockey team or something, and all the other coaches looked at things exactly the opposite of the way you have no chance of success. When you look at Canada, and I'm going to make an American comparable here. Yeah. Okay. So we all know that there are some states in the United States that are going to be Democrat forever, right? California, Delaware, New Hampshire, there's certain places, and there'll also be places that'll be Republican for the rest of the time. We get that. If you look at the way that Canada votes, the only reason that these elections are close, the only reason is because we have 4 left-wing parties and 1 right-wing party.
Yep. Vote splitting.
Like we talk about the risk of vote splitting in Alberta. If the left could actually get their shit together, they would never lose an election ever.
Yep.
Because like you've got the Bloc left, Liberals now left. They weren't always, now they are. NDP left, and then the Green Party. I know they're small, but so that's 4. We have 1. It's the only reason why it's close. So when you take the way that, just take the last federal election. When you take the last federal election, if you take Alberta and Saskatchewan out of the votes, to take their votes away, the rest of Canada votes further left than every state but 1. I believe it was Vermont, I think.
You did a video on this.
I did.
I remember this.
Yeah. And so so people think like, well, Canada could change. Do you think California is going to change?
Never.
California was 4 points further right than the rest of Canada. And if they're never, like, what hope do we have?
So I think we're at so this was part of me moving towards the separation movement. Canada is a very socialist country.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So every single one of us Canadians, whether they like it or not, and people are going to disagree with this, if we were to go into the United States right now, you would be almost more aligned with the Democrat because we've all grown up with socialism.
Yes.
We've all grown up with socialism. So that's already in us. But that only goes so far with somebody who's a free thinker and somebody who's for freedom, right? Because socialists have this little thing where they start at point A and they start chiseling away at your freedoms, and you give them away for convenience.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing, right?
You're 1,000 cuts.
Exactly. And they do this over generation after generation after generation. And then you see what happened under Justin Trudeau, letting in millions of people into a socialized system, because people always forget that. Oh, free healthcare. Healthcare in Canada is not free. It's not free. It is prepaid. You know those prepaid cell phones we have to buy back in the day? When you pay your income tax, a portion of that is going to your healthcare, and it's a large portion. It's a very large portion.
In Alberta, 54% of the provincial budget goes to healthcare.
Exactly.
54%. Free. Oh yeah, free. Where do you think they get the money from?
Exactly. And that's my biggest cringe is when somebody says, "Oh, you guys got free healthcare," or a liberal. That's the liberals actually think, and this is what I talk about. You start at point A and you start moving along. And you move along until they're indoctrinated and they're brainwashed, and they trade their freedom for convenience.
Yeah.
You let 4 million, 5 million people into the country, into a socialized system.
What could go wrong?
They've never paid for. ever in their life and now have access to, and you allow their elderly grandparents here and their uncles and their aunts, and you open this up. What is going to happen? The people who paid for the system, it's going to collapse because you can't take any more from them. The people who didn't pay for it, they come from a country of disease where they've never gotten checked out their whole life, are now in the system. Like, and liberals will sit there and defend it. That was the day I said, I'm fucking done. I am done with them. I can't deal with them. They are literally stupid. That's literally what they are. And I don't like name calling, but it's the truth.
And they're not coming back.
No.
No, like if you still don't see it, you're never gonna. I'm sorry.
You're not.
You're not. And so, like, for me, you talk about everybody we talk to has their final straw, right? Mm-hmm. Like, everybody who's just said, okay, I'm going to vote to separate. Something was the final nail in the coffin, right? You've got yours. For a lot of people, I think it was the Carney election where they thought, okay, we're finally going to be done with these idiots. Now we can move on. No, okay, we're going to do that again. Everybody's got their thing. But again, once you realize that Canada's done, and then you look at the other side and you go, okay, well, and I'm going to put Saskatchewan in it because I think it's safe to assume that if Alberta does this, Saskatchewan
I want Saskatchewan. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, Adam.
Yeah.
I love Saskatchewan. Hey, beautiful people in Saskatchewan.
All the best people are from there, Lawrence.
I know you're from there. I know you're from there, but I love Saskatchewan. So maybe I said it a little wrong, but now I got to come out with I love Saskatchewan shirt. BertaProudDad.com.
You got it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if you say, okay, well, now where's Canada going? I mean, you saw the thing with the economic watchdog that they fired, right?
Yeah.
That should have been on the front page of every newspaper in this country. And that should have been, it was nowhere. You could barely find it on YouTube.
But you know who you could find it from was every single content creator out there that was on the conservative side because it needed to be done.
Right. So basically what this guy said is, we are on the precipice of what is essentially a national bankruptcy, is essentially what he said. And they said, well, what do we do to stop it? And he's like, well, you have to cut this, and this, and you got to do this, and you got to, like, he sort of gave his plan, of which the Liberals are doing none of it. And then they fired him for it. Mm-hmm. Like, he's gone. He's fired the next day. And this guy is like experienced up the wazoo. He's a CFA. Like, this guy is like, he's very, very.
He knows what he's doing. And
he knows.
Like, fast forward to right now, Chrystia Freeland.
Right.
Our ex-finance minister.
Yeah.
The lady that told us to cancel our Disney Plus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, save some money in your home. Cancel your Disney Plus. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And then, okay, so she's now going off to Ukraine to be their financial advisor. How many billions of dollars have we sent? We just sent $2.5 billion to Ukraine after Mark Carney came out 2 weeks prior to that and said Canadians are going to have to make sacrifices.
Yeah.
Like, if you are on the left right now, there is serious problems with you.
Yeah.
You're either a basement suite dweller, which, don't get me wrong, times are tough for people, but you're not working.
Nope.
There's no way you're paying taxes at the rate that I'm paying taxes or you're paying taxes. There's no way, because nobody can be okay with that. And then she goes off to Ukraine, right? And then she's like, oh, and then we start calling out that mainstream news, not calling it out, but content creators call it out.
Yep.
And they're like, hey, she's still a sitting member of parliament. I don't, it's legal. I looked it up, but it's definitely not ethical.
Yeah.
And then what happens? She's going to resign tomorrow or Friday. She's going to resign. And what is she doing? What is the real play there? We sent billions over there. Ukraine is full of corruption. Now, Chrystia Freeland, involved in all of that and involved in scandal with Justin Trudeau, is now looking after the money in Ukraine. Make that make sense.
Yeah. I'll tell you, you want to blow your mind? I'll send it to you.
Okay.
So you know who Oliver Stone is?
Yeah.
Okay. So Oliver Stone made a documentary called Ukraine on Fire.
Okay.
Okay. So there were these conflicts in 2013 in Ukraine. Netflix put a show out called Winter on Fire, which told the story from a very different angle. There's the Oliver Stone documentary that shows all the corruption, all the craziness in Ukraine, the role of the Nazi party in Ukraine, which is like a real thing. They were the second most popular party at the time, like actual Nazis. Mm-hmm. This documentary will absolutely blow your mind. Well, guess what was taken down everywhere from the internet? The first day of the Ukraine war. They took it because it shows what's actually happening.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm not gonna go into all the details right now, but it's probably the most eye-opening documentary I've ever seen in my life. And so there's only one place you can get it. It's on like the site called like Banned Videos or something.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course. They don't want anybody to see the truth, right?
That's right.
And that's what they're scared of. They're scared. Like, there's no way trust me. Okay. Let me preface it with this.
Sure.
War sucks.
Yeah.
I hate war. I don't want to see people dying. Innocents die and rich men get richer and rich women get richer and more.
Yeah.
I hate war, but it's a fact of life and it happens. And they always use conflict to launder money, to waste and spend, like just waste money.
Absolutely.
And the richer always get richer. We saw it in COVID. One of the largest transfers of wealth out of the middle class to the rich was during COVID.
Yeah.
And we've seen it, right?
Yeah.
And now Canada is coming in and wanting to freeze people's bank accounts to pay back COVID benefit. Like this is insane after telling us we have to sacrifice more.
Yeah.
But Ukraine is one of those places. We left equipment in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And more proof. US left equipment in Afghanistan. And what happened? The Taliban took it and now they have a full-blown military that has US equipment. We see this everywhere.
And it goes to, what you were talking about earlier about like the little steps, right? The death of 1,000 cuts. And then you get them. Like imagine you and I have a time machine and we can go back to 1998.
Yes.
And we would sit down with the average people, put a room of 100 people and say, hey, this is what society is going to look like in the year 2025. We're going to have biological men and women's bathrooms and we're going to have this and we're going to have that. And you just list all the things and they would look at you and go, huh?
You're insane.
You're insane.
Yeah.
And then we would say, 60% of you are going to vote for this.
Mm-hmm.
Like they would look at you like you had an arm growing out of your forehead.
Yep.
But that's the truth.
Yeah.
Like the same people who back then went, yeah, this is insane, are voting for it today.
Mm-hmm.
That's how lost we are as society.
And I blame the MSM. It's
100%.
the mainstream news, right? They are the enemy. The people that are so taxpayers involuntarily give MSM billions of dollars a year.
Of course they do.
To feed them bullshit, literally bullshit.
Yeah.
I call it the daily download.
Yeah.
Okay. My grandmother's a liberal. She is. And it is what it is. I think she has a crush on the first Trudeau because she met him once and then she was just a lifelong liberal after that.
Yeah.
But she'll sit there, CBC on, and I'll ask her, hey, Gran, how are you enjoying the daily download? How's that going for you? Right. But this is what you're taught. You're not going to convince her. No. And us as content creators can't think that we can. We really can't, because this woman has her little cup of coffee, her little biscuit, turns on the CBC, and she listens to it. Yeah. She hates Trump. She thinks he's a fascist, like whatever. Like at the end of the day, it is what it is. Yeah. But I will mark my words, the MSM will die with the old people.
Well, who else watches it?
That's exactly it. Because even the left have their own creators, like Rachel Gilmore.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Rachel Gilmore. If you haven't looked up Rachel Gilmore, ladies and gentlemen, please go look her up. But the left have their own content creators, but the MSM is finished. So why I just don't understand how people can still put their faith in CBC.
Well, and I think, the intelligent people, or the ones with their eyes open, are the ones who maybe have the courage to go against the grain. Because, like, let's face it, I'm going to use the word cult because I can't think of another one.
Yep.
Like, one of the ways they keep you in a cult is they what's it called? Not excommunicate, right? Mm-hmm. There's lots of people who are in their social group where they're all liberals, and they're like, well, I can't go out. I'm going to lose all my friends. Like they're going to hate me if I do this. Well, meanwhile, there's probably half of them think the same way, but they're all afraid to leave because they'll lose all their buddies.
Yeah, you're right.
My mom, she died in the summer of 2023. So her dad was actually an NDP MLA in Saskatchewan.
Okay. So
her dad actually worked with Alan Blakeney and Tommy Douglas to get Medicare put in. Mm-hmm. Right. So you can imagine the loyalty that she was one of 8 kids. They were all, you cut them, they'd bleed orange. Like they were all staunch supporters. And, but my mom was also a really great, she was curious. She'd always ask questions, and specifically with health. So like, I remember like maybe 15 years ago, I bought some Teflon flying pans, and she was in from Saskatchewan visiting, and she just took them and she threw them in the trash. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
She's like, no, these are going to kill you. You can't use these. And I was like, Mom, what are you talking about? Like, it'll be fine. And then sure enough, like all this stuff comes. So she was out ahead of like so many things. She was ahead of all the shit in her plastics that mess with the hormones. Actually, this will blow your mind. Probably 7 or 8 years ago, before the trans stuff really started to come in, She goes, I'm telling you, all these things that are happening are messing with hormones so bad that pretty soon little boys are going to think they're little girls and little girls are going to think they're little boys.
I believe it. I did a deep dive into that, and it's literally, it's just like the COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
Right. The COVID vaccine made men infertile.
Yeah.
And women infertile too.
Fertility clinics are crazy.
Exactly. But yeah, that's a good point.
So she called it and she wasn't thinking left wing or right wing. She was just thinking this. Well, then when COVID happened, she was out ahead of all of it. Like, we've got a very close family friend who actually worked with RFK Jr. on the World Mercury Project back in, I think it was like 2012, when they went to Congress to get mercury taken out of the vaccine. And so, like, we were alive to Dr. Fauci and the vaccine and all that. We were alive to it forever. Well, that's what woke my mom up. So she died a card-carrying member of the Conservative Party of Canada.
I love that. And you know what? COVID actually did wake a lot of people up, but it was a very influential time in this country, because it didn't just wake a lot of people up to saying, fuck the Liberals, I don't support them anymore. It woke people up to saying, I love the Liberals, they're here to save me. So what happened there, we did see a big shift of people from liberalism to conservatism. We saw a shift, but we saw more people get involved and more people see what's going on in the world. And that's kind of, there was a big, huge potential for the Liberal Party of Canada to fearmonger, and it was a test. It was a test, and we just seen it in this election that we just had, because they used COVID. They used what they learned in COVID, how easy it was to fearmonger their base. They saw where Pierre Poilievre was polling so much higher than the Liberal Party. They came in and they told all the old people, the same ones I was talking about, that do the daily download on the CBC every day, and they use that vehicle to get it to them, to say, you're going to lose your house, you're going to lose your pension, you're going to lose your cars, you're not going to be able to eat. Meanwhile, right now, under a Liberal government in this country, people are losing their house, people are losing their cars, people have no jobs, people are dying in hospitals. And that's one thing I want to segue into, because we had that happen in Edmonton, and they're attacking Premier Smith on this pretty hard right now, where we see a man go into an emergency room, and that's Alberta Health, and he passes away. And my hearts and my thoughts and my prayers are with the family, because I hate making content off of somebody's death, and that's not what this is about whatsoever. It's the fact that they're attacking Danielle Smith, and it goes back to the socialized healthcare system. You cannot bring in this many people and expect to provide the same quality of service. And the left's answer, Naheed Nenshi, his answer, throw more money at it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
And it's just so stupid. Like that thing was tragic. But like, if you're listening to this, just go on it's the AHS website, and you can look at the wait time right now at any emergency room.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing shocking about this man dying is it didn't happen sooner. Like, we are so overwhelmed. We're so overwhelmed. I mean, like, our population is now almost at what BC's is. Like, we're at like 5 million.
Yeah.
Like, what were we 20 years ago? 3?
Yeah. We maybe not even that. But we were not where we are. We've doubled.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And then like they're like, oh, we need more doctors. Well, I'll just go to the doctor tree and pick some doctors off. Like, what do you think?
That's my point. That's my absolute point. Like, where's the money going? This is the thing about these socialist parties. Socialism, it breeds corruption.
Right.
It always breeds corruption, because
only every time.
Exactly. We could throw money at it, throw money at it. We're seeing it in Edmonton with the bike lanes. Literally I was just there. I just drove back, and I was driving on those streets. Every road is a fucking bike lane.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why? Why are we doing this? And they always blame the Conservatives. Well, the last I checked, we've had people die in NDP territory hospitals.
Yep.
We've had people in Quebec die, right, in their hospitals. It's not about the political party. And that's what I hate about the left. And I truly do hate, and hate's a strong word. When somebody dies, when somebody's vulnerable, when somebody has something happen to them, they always use that as a chance to point to the Conservatives.
Every time.
It's gross.
It's gross. And it's like, can we just take a minute and go, oh my God, can we work together to fix this so this doesn't happen again? But instead, it's no, we're going to use this to divide more and do this and do this. It's like, God forbid, we just put our agendas aside for 2 minutes and have a civil conversation, right? Yeah, it's gross.
Well, and we just saw that today while I was talking to you about it before we started the podcast. And it does bring Rachel Gilmore up, but we had a trans activist who is a trans. She tried taking her own life.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm taking politics completely out of this because I don't care what political party you support.
Yeah.
I don't care what you're doing in your personal life. I don't care. If you tried to take your own life today, I have compassion for you and I feel for you.
Yeah.
Rachel Gilmore comes out and uses it to attack a guy that she's been in a spat with for forever on Twitter. And that is disgusting.
Yeah.
You never do that. As people rely on us, people watch us, people see us. Why would you use this time? And yes, you might be friends with this woman, and the thing is why would you use this time to have a political spat with somebody and blame somebody for her death? Now, she didn't die, ladies and gentlemen. Rachel Gilmore, she came out and said she died and then had to backtrack that. So she didn't even have the whole story anyway, but still use it to attack somebody on the right. This sort of shit needs to stop happening. It has to stop. And this is what I love about your content. This is why there'll be certain content creators that never come on this show.
Right.
Because they do shit like that. Right. I'll never use somebody's tragic moment in their life to get views and clicks. That'll never happen.
Yeah.
But this is literally the polarization. And when we started the show, we talked about, why people are watching us versus the CBC and everything else. Because this is why.
Yeah.
Because we're real.
We give a shit.
We give a shit. And when something like this happens, we still give a shit, even if it's to somebody on the other side.
Yep.
We don't go and say, we wish harm upon Mark Carney. We wish harm upon Naheed Nenshi. Those are human beings and they're people.
Yep.
We might think differently ideologically, but at the end of the day, they're still human beings.
What I think the other key difference between the way we do it and the way the MSM does it, and I'm going to put like Fox News in this category as well, right? So like when you've got a right-wing media outlet, it's like they will only ever say bad things about the left. They'll never be critical of their own people and vice versa. I take great, and this is a double-edged sword on the conservative side. I take great pride in holding the people I voted for accountable, right? I take great pride in having high expectations for them. And when those expectations aren't met, going, hey, this isn't what we talked about, right? This is what you talked about. Now, so I like that because it holds them accountable. I don't like that because it leads to the potential of a vote split because like here in Alberta, we've seen what happens, right, with that. Yeah. And so it is a double-edged sword, but like I've seen you be critical of right-wing politicians. Yep. I do it on not a super regular basis, but when I call them like I see them, like Donald Trump, like there's lots of things I'm not happy with Donald Trump. There's lots of things I am, lots of things I'm not. You don't see that with the left. With the left, like, and in some ways it's admirable, and in other ways it's just, mind-boggling about how like insanely loyal they are. Yeah. To their agenda, how insanely loyal they are to their version of the story. And there's nothing you can say to convince them. Like they can say, this is pink, and you show them and you're like, no, actually this is green. And you could get 1,000 people to go, yeah, this is green. They go, nope, it's pink. Yeah. Right. Like there's just no denying it.
They're sheep. They're sheep. Right. And I hate using people say, well, you're name calling. That's not name calling. That's what sheep do. Sheep follow a shepherd. That's what they do, right? Right. The MSM and your Mark Carneys and Justin Trudeau's and Chrystia Freeland's, like those are your shepherds. Yeah. And you guys are blindly following them into the gauntlet as they chisel away at your bank account and take your freedom. I truly believe that there's a direct calculation out there to freedom, right? A mathematical calculation. You're a money guy. You're a finance guy, right? So I think disposable income equals freedom to the Liberal Party. Yep. Right? So what they do is they attack your disposable income. And then that attacks your freedom. And what happens when your freedoms are taken away? Mental health. People start drinking more. People get on the pills. Families split apart. Yeah. And you destroy the nuclear family. And the next thing you know, the state's raising the kids. We have the Alberta book thing that just went down in Alberta with sexualization of children through books and public schools. Oh my God. Like we point this stuff out. There's so much talk. This podcast can go for 5 hours, 6 hours. And the thing is it literally is sheep being led by a shepherd. And that's our worst enemy though on a conservative side, because we're not sheep and we question everything. Right. You'll put out a video. I'll fact check it. Yeah. I won't. And I'll make sure that it's all good. Yep. I'll put out a video And then when I'm wrong, don't worry. My supporters and people, they tell me.
They'll tell you.
But that's how life should be.
Right.
But,
accountability.
Exactly. But the MSM has not created that.
That's right.
And then now people are, and then when the left makes a mistake, they just act like it didn't matter. Like immigration in this country. Huge mistake. We were all calling it out on the right. Every single one of us were saying, this is a big mistake. This is really, really bad.
Yep.
Next thing what happens? Oh, yeah. Justin did say it was a mistake, but whatever.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
It's
like,
insane.
okay.
It's insane.
Yeah. And that's the problem, right? I mean, we talked about earlier, how nice would it be if politicians would be humble enough to actually like, yeah, sorry, I screwed this one up. Right. I'll never forget it when Jason Kenney was running for premier, and I was in this little bar in Devon, Alberta at a presentation. And I said, what's the one attribute you want to bring to politics that, isn't there? And he's like, humility. I want to be humble enough to admit my mistakes. Well, yeah, I guess the next mistake he admits will be the first, because I never saw it once.
Good old Jason Kenney. Him and I didn't see eye to eye. But the thing is I've talked to a lot of people in COVID. I think Jason Kenney meant well to a certain degree when he came to Alberta, when he rolled in with that blue Dodge, which is the worst political campaign. Whoever did that should be fired. But when he came in and he rolled in, but I always knew Jason Kenney was a Federalist.
He's a Federalist.
I always knew that.
And not just a Federalist in the way that, we talk about a separatist or this or that. Yeah. He's a Federalist in that he looked at this job as a launch pad to the Prime Minister.
Yes.
That's what he wanted to do.
Yes, exactly. And don't get me wrong, I'd love to see Danielle Smith as the Prime Minister. I absolutely would. But
I want to see her the Prime Minister of Alberta, though.
Yes, that's where I was going. You stole that. You stole that from me, man. We're going to have to cut that, and we're going to have to, no, we're not cutting nothing. Nothing's getting cut. Yeah. But the thing is all of this circling back, because you mentioned separatist. Yeah. Right? And people might think, oh, they went on a tangent about Canada. We just gave you every reason to be a separatist.
Exactly.
We just talked about it for the past half hour of why Alberta should not be in Canada anymore and cease to exist within Canada because of the hurt. We're tired of watching the 70-year-old greeter at Walmart. Yep. Like that just pains me when I walk in, a 70-year-old man or woman sitting at Walmart, because we know why we're there. Right. The writing's on the wall. They're not there just because they need to make an income. Yep. We're tired of being, our vote stopping at the Manitoba-Ontario border. Yep. We're tired of liberals literally going after our oil and gas industry. And we have more than oil and gas here. They go after every industry in this province. They don't care about if it's oil and gas or agriculture. They attack the farmers. They attack banking, tourism. They attack whatever they want because they do not want this province to prosper. Because if Alberta prospers, Alberta is a superpower, and Alberta can demand things from the federal government. And
it goes deeper than that. So, you and I were talking about before, we went on here. Where's Mark Carney right now? He's in China, and then where's he going right after this?
World Economic Forum.
Going straight to the World Economic Forum. So if you have any understanding of the way the globalists work, you've seen the thing where during COVID, they had all these newscasters that were saying the exact same thing, in different countries and they're all saying the same thing. Well, it's because it's coming not from their prime minister or president. It's coming from higher than that. What's going to happen here in Alberta, and this is why this vote is so important. It's the most important vote for the entire planet for this decade, at least. Yep. And I'll tell you why. It's not because of what it's going to mean to Canada. It's what it means to the world. Because if we separate, if this happens, if we are successful with this referendum and making Alberta and hopefully Saskatchewan our own country, the world doesn't care what that does to Canada. The world cares what that does in terms of creating an example for everybody else of what you can do.
That's right.
When's the last time a new country formed? Was it the breakup of Czechoslovakia?
It could have been.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But now, so it's not unprecedented to form a new country. What is unprecedented, though, is to take an area that is arguably the most resource-rich area on planet Earth, where those resources have been suppressed and stifled and muffled by everybody and their dog, and then you free them.
Yep.
With a government that's going to do it a very different way that goes a total polar opposite to what the World Economic Forum wants.
Yep.
The reason they're afraid is that then we become the example for everywhere else in the world to say, hey, you can do it this way.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. And I've said this before. I've said Canada is one of the only countries in the world that has seen mass socialism, mass immigration, the destruction of their social structure and in their social services that still keep the resource in the ground.
Yeah.
The very thing that could pay for everything, they keep in the ground and call it climate activism.
It's the dumbest thing in the world.
It is insane. It is absolutely insane. So we're literally giving you every reason as an Albertan or for a person from Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to open this up to everybody from every province to separate. We need to make the federal government obsolete in this country.
Yes.
Because they are stupid. They are. They call it as it is. They're stupid. They don't know how to manage money. They fiscally mismanage all of our money, and we don't need them.
No.
We truly don't need them. They've blocked Alberta every step of the way, and we have a path forward. Somebody just asked me before we did this podcast. She called me on the phone. She said, hey, do you know if there's any signature drives happening in your community? I said, I'm not sure, but I'll start one because I will. And that's what we need everybody to do.
Yeah.
Find out, do you know where to get those signatures?
So I just talked to Tanya Clements today. Okay. So for those that don't know, Tanya is one of the members of the Alberta Prosperity Project. She's awesome. She's a fourth or fifth generation farmer from Southern Alberta. She's just salt of the earth. She's great. So she said that I think it's Elections Canada has to approve the canvassers. So this is who can actually go and collect the signatures. Like you can't just get anybody to do it. You got to write a test and pass some things. So the reason that there's no like actual places where we can sign right now is they haven't been approved as canvassers yet. So that's coming soon, very soon. And then if you just go on the Alberta Prosperity website, there'll be other places. You and I will be showing it like crazy.
Yeah.
Go find where you can go and sign. Because this isn't like an online petition like it was before. This is, no, you actually have to go in with your Alberta ID, show who you are, and actually signature in front of someone who can certify your signature.
Yeah.
It's very different.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And that's what we're going to need. Right.
Oh yeah.
And
we got to get organized quick.
Absolutely. And to the people who might watch this and, you know, before you go to throw hate on this and open your eyes.
Yeah.
I want one question. How is Canada better than it was 15 years ago? And what can we benefit from if we separate from Canada?
Yeah.
I don't hate Canadians.
No,
I don't. I love Canadians. I will always be Canadian. This is the country I was born in. But the thing is something has to give. And we've seen time after time after time that nobody cares about us, yet we feed the nation.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's exactly it. And I want you to think about something else. And this is the part that really, you know, gets the hair on my arms to stand up. You know how you and I and everybody, if you're listening to this show, like I guarantee you've had this conversation with your family. And that conversation is, where would we move if things get worse? Right? Like, where would we go? And you think, oh, I would go to Texas, or I'd go to, you know, like I know some people move to Argentina after their election, or maybe I go here, or maybe I go there. Every one of those places that you talk about is at best a temporary solution, right? Like the United States is one election away from going back to where they were.
That's right.
Right? And the one thing with United States politics is they can switch back and forth very, very quickly. Canada, you can't do that. Like if Pierre Poilievre wins, if they call an election this afternoon and he wins it, it would take him 20 years to undo what the Liberals did.
Absolutely.
I don't think he could. And actually, I don't think he could possibly get elected for a second term if he actually did what has to get done. There's no chance.
No.
So anyway, the reason I say this is that you've got all these places you can like, oh, we could go here, but like they're all just little band-aids you could go for a little while. Alberta and Saskatchewan as our own deal, we become the answer to that question for people all over the world.
Yeah.
And I think what would happen is I think that you would see a lot of the most staunch left supporters in Alberta. I think they'd be very uncomfortable here, and I think they would probably leave.
Yeah.
And I think what we'd also see is we'd see people like crazy from the rest of Canada go, oh, I'm going there.
We've already seen it.
Yeah.
I know you've seen it in your comment sections. I have people that say, sign me up.
Yeah.
If you guys separate, I'm moving to Alberta.
In a heartbeat.
And that's what they want, right? And I want to hit on this point too, because these comments are going to come.
Yep.
You're landlocked. You don't have resources. Well,
We're already landlocked.
Well, and this is it. We already are sitting in a place. So you think Canada's not going to buy our oil and gas? People don't know this. The propane in this country, the propane that people are burning in Quebec to heat their homes, because that does happen. They use propane. comes from Alberta.
Yeah.
How does that get there? Does anybody know? Well, I used to be a train conductor. People don't know this back in the day. And I used to take propane trains, and where were they destined for? The East.
Really?
East Coast. And that was a train of all propane cars.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it goes to the East. So we supply propane. So if you think for 1 second that Canada is not going to be our biggest customer, you're delusional. And here's the other thing. What do we have in Canada? It founded this country. We have 2 big railroads. We have the CN Railway and the CPKC, Canadian Pacific Kansas City. They come out of the Port of Vancouver and they take goods across the country and they take goods back.
Right.
Well, they got to get through Alberta. I don't know if anybody knows anything about building railway, but it can't be that easy. It can't be that easy to go up through northern British Columbia, over into the territories, and then back over into Manitoba.
Yep.
That's not going to be an easy feat. I don't think the Chinese are ever going to volunteer for that again.
Nope.
You know what I mean? That's never going to happen.
Nope.
So you got to go through Alberta.
Yep.
So what happens when Alberta and Saskatchewan separate? Well, they still need resource from Alberta. Canada still needs it. We need access to the tidewater, and right now it's being blocked.
Yep.
You will see tanker bans lifted. You will see access to tidewater. You will see pipelines. You will see everything Alberta needs to prosper, because this country doesn't prosper, and the East would die without a railroad out of Vancouver.
Well, and go even further. So right now, like BC, they're doing everything they can to stop us from fine, no problem. So right now, because of the way that our constitution works, we are not allowed to cut them off.
No.
Right? Like right now, we can go to BC. Like if we can't say, oh, you won't give us a pipeline, fine, we're not going to give you any more gas.
Yep.
We can't do that.
No.
For our own country, we can.
Absolutely.
Currently, BC gets almost all of their gas from us. I believe it's almost entirely from us. And they have a 4-day supply.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
4-day supply.
That's it.
Which means, like, how's that province going to work if we say, yeah, we'll just keep it?
Yeah.
We'll see you in 4 days.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's part of the reason why they've sent a delegation to the United States as well to recognize Alberta as a statehood, as their own independent nation. If we do this, get this across the line, these people are doing the work. These people out there are doing the work. And I want to say thank you to them, because, I wasn't with them and I wasn't, and I'm living proof. A guy who covers, politics all the way from municipal, all the way to the federal, and then global, was not with separation.
Nope.
And now I am.
Yeah.
Right. And, you just got to hear these people out. Some of them a little bit, whatever, but everybody has, just like in content creation, everybody in a movement has a place in the movement, I feel. And, we need to do what's best for the people. And I think what's best for the people is to make Canada obsolete. And that hurts me to say. It still hurts me to say, because I'm a newbie to this. Right. But
And much like that person who has to, divorce their spouse because they're no longer compatible, much like that person who, they need to leave their career, or partners in business go separate ways. It's not about right or wrong. Sometimes it's just, we don't fit anymore.
Exactly.
And that's where we're at. Mm-hmm. We don't fit. And if you're honestly looking at this situation with my marriage, I fought to keep it going forever. My ex-wife had the courage to leave it when I never would have, right? And now both of us are much happier. Yeah. I would have hung on forever.
Yeah.
I would have just ground it out forever. She had the wisdom to go, hey, this isn't good for either one of us. And, we fought like crazy after it happened. Now we're good. If you look at this rationally, if you look at what's happening without emotion, with a very rational decision, you go, okay, does this make sense anymore? Mm-hmm. It's very hard. It's very hard to see it another way.
Yeah.
You have to be really thick to think that this can still work.
Yeah.
And it's never going to.
Yeah.
And, I think, how many, so the population of Alberta is 5 million people.
Mm-hmm.
How many people are going to vote in this referendum? 2 million?
Yeah, I would say about that.
Okay. Like I think in the last federal elections, like 1.4 million. Let's just assume we get higher voter turnout, mm-hmm. right? And let's assume that it's going to be close, right? Let's say that this vote's going to come down to 5% either way. I'm sure it'll actually be closer than that.
Yeah.
Okay. So think about this. How many followers do you have on social media in total?
680,000.
Okay. And probably 250 of those are here in Alberta?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and I would have, not as many as that, but then, we look at the influencers and you look at the message that we can get. And so right now there's three types of people. There are the people who for sure they know they're voting to separate and nothing will convince them otherwise. There are the people who, no, they're going to vote to stay no matter what. The way I would have stayed in my marriage no matter what. Right. And then there's this great big chunk in the middle. And the great big chunk in the middle is looking at it going, I don't know if I understand it well enough, right? This is the chair that you and I and some other people are in where we can play a role in educating them on making the right decision for them.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not going to tell anybody, I don't care if you're NDP, liberal, conservative, that is not what this referendum is about. You got to figure out if this is right for you. And there are lots of examples of it. I had a guy reach out the other day because I'm doing one tomorrow with Keith Wilson and Tanya Clemens. And all it is, the whole podcast is only talking about questions that people have sent in. Here's an example of a question. Guy said, I have a criminal record. I've turned my life around. I have a criminal record. Right now I can travel within Canada. If this referendum passes, am I going to be able to leave Alberta or am I stuck here? Well, what a novel question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
Right? Or you worry about your pension or you worry about this. People need to understand what's going on. And so my goal, you and I have talked a lot about you can't cover every issue.
No.
I'm all in on this between now and the end of the year. And when I say all in, I'm not here to convince people which way to vote. My objective is to give everybody answers to the questions that they personally have. Because everybody's agenda is different. Everybody's priorities are different. I'm going to make it my mission to create something that people can look and go, okay, this is my main question. This is the answer. And then once that's done, then the goal is to get the person who says, oh, this isn't what I thought it was, to talk to 3 friends.
Yeah.
If they can convince one of those 3, we win in a landslide.
Yep. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And that's kind of my goal too, right? I'm still following the politics. I'm still covering it. I'm still doing it, but I got to kick it into another gear for separation. And that's why, when I was asked if I would get those signatures and then start a signature drive, absolutely I would, because it is important. And I just encourage people, if you're out there and you don't know, and you don't have those questions, Adam's going to be doing it on his channel, Army of Great Men. Go look him up. He's going to be doing this stuff.
Yep.
And, you can follow me, and there's many other content creators, or go to the Alberta Prosperity Project website, go to an event. Go to an event. Go listen to what they have to say. Ask your questions there. Don't be afraid. We have a big decision that Danielle Smith is allowing, and many leaders in this country would not allow this to even happen.
No.
And Danielle Smith is allowing this to happen. So kudos to her.
Absolutely.
Kudos to her. And yeah, I would encourage you guys to go and check out an event, ask your questions, and just make your decision. Don't do it because CBC told you. Don't do it because even an influencer told you. Make your decision,
right,
and be confident in that decision. Don't be fear-mongered like the elbows up crowd. We've seen what happened.
And I'm glad you said it that way, because we talk about that this is the biggest vote that the world will see this decade. As a voter who lives in this province, you will never vote on anything more important. Either way, no matter which way you vote, this is the one. Because this is you make there's a lot of people who voted for Rachel Notley's. Oh, I regret it. Okay, 4 years, whatever. Big deal. You get over it. This isn't 4 years.
This is done.
This is it.
This is one and done.
Either way. So we're either saying you're voting to hitch our wagon to the rest of Canada no matter what, or we're going to fight another day and we're going to try it on our own. Yeah. That's what it is. And there is no coming back from this either way.
No.
It's the biggest one ever. And, you and I know where we are. There's a lot of other people that are not quite sure. Education. Ask your questions, get your answers. Don't just blindly trust people. Verify it. Do your freaking homework, people. Do it. You deserve to know what's going on. Figure it out, get to the bottom of it, and tell your friends.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, that's probably the best. And I have about, at least 6 to 7 more hours of podcasts to do with you, because we can't get it all jammed into one, but we'll end it there. I really appreciate you taking the drive down, coming into the brand new studio, and being the very first guest on the BertaProudDad Over the Target with BertaProudDad. This went well, and I'm really happy to have you here.
You know what? I when I first saw you, I really didn't know what to make of you. You're this big brash, saying all this stuff. Now I've come to know your heart. I know what kind of man you are. You're my brother. I got all day for you. You know, you need something to come on your podcast? Shit, you need me, I'll drive here anytime. Like,
Awesome.
I got you, brother. And I know you got me too. And I'm just really pumped for you, man. Like this studio is awesome. I got to see your operation with your staff and the clothing and everything. You guys, the work that this guy's doing, you think he just woke up one day and stumbled into this? Like, I laugh more than ever when I hear people say, oh, you're a grifter. You're going to give your head a shake. You think this is an accident? This guy hustles his ass off every day. And you have a full-time job on top of it.
Yeah, I do.
And you got a family to look after.
That's right. That's right.
I've always respect hustlers. You're the biggest hustler I know. And I mean that in a good way, meaning like you hustle for your, you know, for what you're getting, and nothing but respect. And yeah, I think this show is going to be a massive hit for you. You're going to kill it. So thanks again, man. Yeah.
Thanks. I really appreciate that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for sticking around at Over the Target by BertaProudDad. Our very first guest, Adam from Army of Great Men. Make sure you follow him on all platforms, and we'll see you next time.